Secondary science, April 9th, returning from lunch.
We have another explanation. If you do have one that explains the same
So
thing.
you were talking about this, the financial reimbursement or whatever. This is actually for you guys. It's for this meeting.
Okay, based on rapid data, instead of just, that is my guess.
I'm just gonna give it, if you didn't get it, try to give you an idea of what you need to fill out.
Okay, that's just for today.
Yeah, this is just for today.
So we actually fill this
So you're gonna need to fill this one out and submit it like you did the other one.
or like I will do the
Or
other.
like you did. I sent mine in already because I knew I was gonna forget.
So they need to still give.
Where did you get
I'll
this?
email to me.
It was in our,
What does our school need to do to get our stuff?
yeah, you need to just mark if your district, if you're paid by the district or whatever, I guess.
Did you see that? Did they change it? Under, hey, did anybody else notice on that chart under ethnicity, one of the choices is female?
Yes.
When I talked to them, this is not the other. No, not male, male is not on
Well, you're
there,
from
but
the country
female.
of Mali.
Oh, please. Do we get to do all the
My
laws?
ethnicities.
We need to do all that apply, right? We get to check all that apply?
I posted on Facebook, I said, filling out a government form, have to choose my ethnicity.
Wait a minute.
Here are my choices.
Alaskan and Alabama is
People
the
like,
same
yeah.
thing.
What is it?
Alabama is the second one.
Okay.
Alaskan,
No, I think they're different.
Alewa Indian and Alaskan is the same thing.
Oh, I didn't think it was.
You're Caucasian in Alaska, but that's not ethnicity. Alaskan, I don't think they're referring to, I think they're referring to ethnicity.
No, what do we call this? This is.
Right, that's the state. Movie like
State science committee meeting, or I mean,
Well, it says that.
Oh, so purpose of trip. I said, right,
Do we
same
want to
thing.
do this or can we, or do we want to do the,
They've gotten started on the other stuff, let's just go ahead and jam out.
I have a report up here. We don't have a
I didn't
projector,
really mail
so I'm just gonna have to read them all.
The last time I did this, like a half hour anyway, so it should be pretty quick. Should be like,
So I never got those from the one that she's.
we gave a survey, we're looking at the results, we're making changes according to feedback. That's what we've been doing.
She had one that still got this for the February one. We should have the December. I never got any notes from December. Did you get that? Or January.
This is a work copy, this is the actual copy that you have to turn in. I'd have to look. I don't know that I actually.
Turn in the work copy.
I don't know.
Okay,
Go back to.
MSPS 3-1.
What is the mileage rate? Is it now 30 That's right. A year ago, it was 50 cents. Or, well, yeah, because cheaper gas tests would drop away 50 cents or so. I don't know, I decided filling out the paperwork is worth my time compared to just waiting on it, just giving me a better. What are you doing for my 5 trips in March? I think this is a good practice.
This is what I'm calling calculating speed, which we do, and then using those speed classes, calculating the next thing, and then we do the work. She's having a
Is that a bad thing? Is that negative?
Not really.
very in-depth step, I think.
Which we can send back.
Oh, we're in tornado watch until 8 p.m. at Shell Properties.
I can see interpreting, but
Jefferson
not.
City, we're in tornado watch about 8 p.m. I think the whole state is basically. Let's see what it says.
This is fine.
Keep scrolling. Yes, it's 3 dash.
It says construct and interpret.
16 counties and
This is gonna be hard.
I started just, he told me what the answer was, I really don't know what any of this is. It's just start in, you can go line, it's easy to go across, right? So,
Where is that?
alright,
So,
I get it.
my thing is just popping around there, that's where it's start, so that's how we do
I
it.
think the person who didn't like it explained it very well.
Let's see. Yeah, you can see it popping up as really
Speed,
good.
using those speeds and now. That was in
Yeah, Chile County. Here in Chile County.
maybe we have a grass or something in
Kansas versus Kansas. Oh, Kansas is the next real wash.
Does anybody have to?
This is the low channel.
Oh.
I grew up with very fun too, and so whether it's not just an interesting conversation piece.
Oh, I know.
Maybe small talk. No, I have friends from all over the states, and they're like, you know, other people have been us to talk about the weather. I said, not in my family, that's the first topic of conversation is not just about.
And we would watch them roll.
You're a lot of depends on that. So, well, it's past, yeah, it's not gonna build again this month, because it says there's 3% chance of rain, 33, 3 and then 0% for that. So the front's gonna go through, the wind's gonna switch around and how, I'm gonna have west northwest, 20 miles.
Oh, yeah. It's gonna be like, well, it was down, it's usually going to.
55 plus 7, but she didn't get down to that.
Okay, our building.
I don't think they need to call us.
Well, this is.
I just have a year with former piece of subject, so I don't, as a teacher, when I blame them, and I don't just, this is what I'm there, okay? So we're on that, and I shut it off the wall outside my room. You don't worry as much as if I would shut you off the skyscraper. Okay? And then say, look, you got it, you know, this is bearing positions on the hill, they're trying to magnets, static electricity, they're trying to give me income.
And you show a lot of things have potential energy, battery, and a lot of energy stored inside, potentially all that.
And then when you plug it into the wall, magic happens. I think it's fine, it's certainly an explanation, I like it. Yeah, but it predicts atoms and interactions.
All of them want to describe. All the models you described.
I'm okay with that, it's something, I think even that like perfect frame system, that first person, multiple ecosystems.
Well, and then I feel like, Massachusetts, in their version, their revised version, they explain competitive predatory.
Well, that's in there too.
It's in there. Oh, it is.
Where originally, it was a class interactions should be competitive, predatory, and mutually beneficial.
But I like how Massachusetts, right, like that.
Well, that's a clarification statement on there too.
This is on, switching pattern.
Does that sound familiar to you guys too?
It is.
Clarification statement, say something.
Sounds like
The
a
word
big
fixing tables of interaction.
Yeah.
Maybe a clarification statement, right? Well, we did the thing.
They have, they sell phones.
Yeah, that's kind of.
You're not supposed to encourage behavior to be doing things.
The next thing you know, they'll have to
With punching cards, not like meanwhile, but a lot of
Let's just say,
them,
Rob,
the connection,
I don't know.
and they get caught up in every.
You know what I mean?
I don't like that.
So yesterday I was talking to my son.
No, it's in high school.
He's a senior, okay?
I don't like it.
Because
What
grandma,
grade?
I didn't like teaching, what is it, school to just,
And so the next, and the next level.
And super strict teacher, and I just left, and then I teach him all night. He's like, oh, he's your
Or you consider critical biggest systems, whatever, critical hours, kind of interaction, or within any given ecosystem. It might not be as confusing.
Oh, really?
Things are in a given ecosystem. In a given ecosystem. Because it didn't say which one to use it.
She didn't have to say anything, but she could have.
Alright, so we're right.
She didn't see her.
When you say a meeting pattern of interaction, that would be, that's why I like,
That's kind of what we're saying.
okay, that's why I like that Massachusetts revised. We have the word.
Well, it's the same wording as I think, mostly they moved where the clarification starts,
Okay.
I think.
So I will read constructed, what
The remaining standards and X or whatever reason the pretty patterns.
I mean, I understand the interaction.
I'm sorry, there's.
But I'm trying to.
Well, because it's like you're correct, because I was trying to say this predator will fall, even just because they will see it. Once the predator population gets very high, and they're eating more of the prey, the population of those guys drops down. Well, then after that, then the predator got much food, and then stabilize, when the predator's running the prey, that's what happens.
So then,
Thermal.
but it's down.
Clarification statement, examples of devices.
And our latency goes up and down as well.
So it does like, and it's styrofoam type.
But then there can be something that,
Yeah,
predator prey may not necessarily pass.
Do not,
You know what I mean? It goes up and down, up and down.
minimal amount of
Or then-
thermal energy transfer.
Because carrying capacity usually talk about it in terms of, that's usually,
Insulator or conductor.
abiotic.
Okay, so
Carrying capacity.
here's like, I guess one of the, it's pretty common, like,
So,
But if
the
you
way
have
they
that,
usually teach it is
and it's
just
like,
one
is this
of
what
the
does
little
it?
light bulb fixtures, and they
What
put
is
it
the pattern or
on
this?
one side of a
Can we just,
cooler,
instead of saying predicts patterns,
and
it
then
just predicts
he
interaction?
asked her
Is that not the
what
same thing? No.
Interactions is like,
monitor, this
the rocks in the car at that time.
So this is that type of stuff, you know, so you're looking at
Traditional
material,
calculations.
but there's no calculation.
Maybe
So it's
it's
really
really
that.
Well,
Because
back
that's
a second.
benign. In terms of, oh, look, it got warmer when I put the hot brick in my
Does this
system.
include where you get like,
Yeah.
But you don't know how many kids.
I wonder if somehow
Think of that.
think of that lessons were across all.
is this the same
What
standard?
did it say?
You're at 5 milliliters of water, you got 10 milliliters of hot water.
I never drawn a single.
But they have to
this,
like
but it didn't
how,
occur to this.
like
Look
10
at it.
milliliters of hot water will not
And
heat up as much as
then it goes to
20 milliliters of hot water, 30 milliliters of hot water will heat up.
That was the rule.
So you would have them take initial temperatures and final temperature, but you'd still leave them in the dark with
I
proportionality.
think they could do a little bit.
And they can use proportions, I think they can do.
You
Well,
say how many?
They find out, and this is why.
Yeah.
Here's what
That
you
actually
hear,
is
and
different.
you don't go under the wheels here on your steroids.
Among ordinances would be in the same.
Right. I've seen people do that. Oh, yes, they go to their shower, they turn the shower on hot all the way, and they get a bucket
between
of the hottest water they can, and they throw it in
And
the
it gets this,
thinking
or
that that's
until
all
you go
that
down
water,
and
because they
maybe
don't understand
certain
the mass of the water is part of the
interaction
calculation.
among,
You just
that way
need
you
to
get
super
your
hot.
relationships.
So it's your
You
magic.
probably get
They
your
heat up the whole
Because that's
really well, they don't understand.
Yes.
Okay.
The mass is all.
And between.
Yeah.
So actually, maybe between like and is better than
I have to know, I've seen it.
I like that part.
It's really like,
Use.
well, you know, the pool, how did you?
That's what it's about.
That, yeah, so it would say, it would read.
Especially when it's
Construction explanation.
Yes.
Yes.
I think you could, because it's just a proportion factor.
So could you put calculations are limited to, mass, temperature, proportion?
Yeah. And that, let's see,
I think for that, and so,
is that all that?
Because I mean, you could get very heavy on the math.
So you can have specific heat, or specific heat, not a difficult thing.
Yeah,
But-
across the board, because water, that's the way it's worded.
Because I thought the same thing about it.
And then all you do is put the number.
Yeah, right, but-
Yeah.
This isn't saying she goes, this is, but it's just hard to compare for all.
Exactly.
Air is easy to heat up, water takes a lot of.
And that includes the water.
That's why we use the cooler.
Yeah, water has a very high acidity, so it's very hard to use a lot of energy to the water.
Oh, and you buy components.
You can also say it's gotta be warm for 180 degrees.
So you gotta clarification statement, emphasis is on reducing samples of situations while you're looking for.
It's kind of like, putting people in the right things of, okay, collaborate.
And you know, we're
I
biotic.
don't know,
that would be
they have like a like
And-
exercise, but we're, and I'm like, my brain, anything? Skip over that word.
Well,
Well, they might do that.
and they finally admitted that. They went from four
Yeah, but-
classes last year to 2 classes.
And see, and these are all biotic ones, but they don't have anything to do with it.
That works.
Yeah, we're including, if it does say only.
Because schools put behavior problems in classes that are not honors.
Constructed explanation of predictive patterns of interaction among machine, biotic, abiotic factors in a given business
And so I'm moving my kid to the honors class, no matter
respiratory,
where they are.
parasitic, relationships.
You know how thankful I am that I have a college English teacher from my son right now that lets him review stuff. Because I don't come to any other class because it's not fair,
Always
because it
kids
struggles in school.
always say, hey,
It's the same student who made it shoes.
We sure do.
I understand.
See, and our
You're showing them.
parents don't care about that kind of stuff because we don't have those behavior problems in school.
Our parents, all day, they all.
Okay, now let's do dash three.
Period.
Develop a model to describe the spiking of matter and flows of energy living
Okay,
in
Construct.
So it's saying, are in here,
To support the cycle of the kinetic energy of an object changes. Energy is transferred to or from the object. Clarification statement. Examples of
okay,
empirical
so
evidence
it's not including student directions.
in arguments could
So
include
you,
an
for the situation, the rest are looking in
representation of the energy before
So they are there.
transferred in
It's
the
so, but they're just describing what's happening,
It's
it's not describing chemical, I mean, all the chemical reactions, they wouldn't have, and I don't care what the kids not going.
Anyway, it doesn't say that.
As long as they know it's shear or food, and that you're incorporating
In
words,
other words,
you know, the
it
basic.
has less potential.
Adding food
now
chains and webs, it says.
than
Well,
because
yes,
it gave
I think that and flow of energy when living is, food chains and webs. Is it not?
Well, it's
Should be, should have.
other things are
I
kind of
don't even know how to change that going and change that.
Yeah, that's what, because if they can be interchanged, yeah, that's simpler wording than what
They actually, they dropped the.
if it's the same thing, it's not the
I
same.
knew it.
Or no.
Well, you start to go,
They shut it out.
more specific, and it's gonna take more
I
time.
know what type that.
Actually, I think that that.
Well, yeah, but I mean, the cycling of matter, flow of energy when living along in parts of the ecosystem, that will, any teacher should mention.
But when we get it, it's like, when we have how many changes, additives, transfers.
Well, this is also going to be water cycle, carbon cycle, that's all in there.
But when we actually talk about it, yeah, it's not supposed to be like, fast. It's not necessarily necessarily on
It's a really good standard.
the water cycle. Okay, because I think that's actually.
Because,
Well, I think water standards do not.
cycle and carbon cycle, together. I mean, if we
To
check
get
the,
to get the positive,
because of the things going.
Okay. The focus here is,
That's conservation of energy.
the sun, or the plant or water.
I suppose you need to do it
To create the sugar.
with the, you have to understand conservation of energy to understand that energy from energy is going
That's
out.
how I teach them, but that's fine.
Being transferred from one organism to the next.
This comes out some people
But also they are not the the matter within the sugar, so the C6H glucose created by the plant was eaten by that insect. That insect now has those atoms, but it just disappears actually inside the insect. And that insect's gonna break down those atoms like a mutant. And then the bird is gonna have like the lizard or
You
everything, whatever.
you have three
And
letters.
it's going to
and
use those
You
exact
change
same
two of the
numbers
numbers.
itself.
It's
Those atoms
energy
are
is,
still
is
there.
wavelength
So
over.
that process
Revenue.
is both the
So
cycling of
wavelength
matter
times
and the flow.
Yeah,
they go together.
So it's energy
Energy is
equals
not-
wavelength
Chemical energy
times.
is
Yeah.
in the matter.
It's in the matter. And so
Wavelength
when that
times
animal eats and breaks down the sugar,
frequency.
that means energy is going to
Energy
be
equals,
So the atom is
So what we do is we give them
and
two
the
of
breaking
these.
up of that chemical to
I think they can do that at
So
school.
they often
You have 3 letters,
And
you
you know,
through them the numbers.
we have such a theoretical.
And again,
Just
this
when
one
you
is.
use or whatever, and you
Like,
keep reflecting on that, you know, we have the same items we've had, and we keep, like, we didn't drinking water and water.
And
Oh my
I
God.
do-
You can do all that, fine, you do that, but energy does not cycle racing. It is linear. It comes from the sun, but you only maintain about 10% level below the rest of the heat, whatever. And when something's done, you can use it, you waste. That's the fish over down, that energy is gone. That's not a secret. Destroy it. So you always have influx of energy, but matter constantly recycles.
And it's like, think that, I mean, I have this conversation, like, the reality, it's only the right, right? I take a break right now. But it's possible, picking up energy is depending on the component, and it's maybe those learn the patterns, you've got 90% of it. Picking up something I thought they could with the actual training, it should be able to do. That's kind of how I do the job when it comes to process, is that you constantly have to keep going back to that source to bring the energy in the sun.
Well, it really has to be about it.
To
You're given a problem, and we have to figure out what math I need to solve.
We have a little bit of energy on this
Numbers are relevant.
That's what you throw
Then
in.
calculate it,
Most
take
of
it
it.
back and see.
When is
my
it ever
answer
done?
is correct.
You know, everything.
Everything that we just told you now in like 5 minutes, that's what it is.
You know, all that.
That's it, nothing more, nothing deeper, that's it.
And that's what, and that's very, very important. And that's because you teach so much with that. You're talking credit, praise, overboard, hardboard, all that. You're with it, you're learning. But then, like I said, emphasis, but it's on my issue, there's temporary energy, because you're not, because she is having energy and energy. Yeah.
But it's not even that, I find that down here, you really want to listen to that.
I'm not sure.
That, and then that's like question goes out to the
Yes, I saw that. Yeah.
Unless it's talking about us throwing them down the street.
When I really send it through, I'm not even thinking about it, it's like this where we're like, this stuff coming up in my way here. I said,
That's why I'm saying they will spend hours.
yeah. I don't know, you know.
That'd be that.
Is, I think she turned 2000 last year. 2001.
It's
not destroyed, it's not
I
structured.
don't see any problem for the floor.
You can't ask them to where you want back, it's there, in the trainers, it's now somewhere so we can.
It's been lost to the
What are we
system.
on?
Because we can use.
Somebody said this should be in the high school. That, maybe should be in the high school. I don't know if thermodynamics is.
But that's not here.
That makes it happen. So we look at that first comment. Let's just say that a schooler can't understand that when a bug eats a plant. That would be, to say that when a bug eats a
Big
plant,
difference
they think that
in
the
CSS.
schooler can't handle the idea that
There's more,
getting energy from that.
instead of just writing the exam, there's more like, do you
They absolutely, that's why I actually,
So these teachers who are like math teachers.
No, because they know where they get their energy.
So you can make that go.
and the only other
Or
one
it's
is,
okay, but I'm really teaching this why.
As younger altogether.
The problem with that is
Well,
that
it's the moms and me, yeah.
now they're monitoring
Oxygen combined with the carbon.
how much.
and hydrogen.
I've never used to do my curriculum. I've never done it.
That's one of you.
Because I thought
And
it's
it's
that
broken down.
now.
And it would be
I structured it this year.
Mini carbon dioxide.
I've done the notating, but
Yeah,
it's
right,
that.
that's what you're talking about.
I'm just not on the chart.
Those made like.
And that's what the administration, they might make every day.
That would be the actual number, that would be the target.
I don't care what else you got.
The sugar. Or if it's
moving to zero dollars because
You can always say,
more space, but
They should be able to.
okay,
I
four days.
like it. It's 4-2 is
And then
a
it looks like
different
those are
thing.
the stuff that was written down
I
in
like
the suggestions.
I don't think most of what they say, and could change it, because that's,
Yeah, it doesn't pose anything there that really needs to be.
and I definitely.
That's so much. I know.
Well, this was something they can measure, it was something like
Yeah.
that. But this is something they can actually handle because it's more macro level, than the cells and DNA and all that stuff. That's the micro level.
And where it says developing, all of that is.
Yeah.
It's almost exactly like what
Then other the question about that part about defining the boundaries,
There's a lot. No, it's pretty simple. They did get the wording now. I mean, that, they did a nice job.
and can we cut off that phrase at the end about and on defining the boundaries?
I'm gonna throw something out there because I'm looking at the
Yeah.
come out. I do like how they broke it into two standards. Just take each by looking at that. So I'm throwing it.
The original and the redone one.
The original, actually.
Use of food to identify distinguished, see, once again, at such a lower level. Distinguished producers.
Well, we can reword it.
See, that's got predation, parasites,
But-
again in there.
But is there a way that we can?
They did away with that, they went through this, certain relationships among human organisms, features, and verticals. Oh, that's the one we just did. Here,
Okay, boundary.
yeah.
I don't know.
Okay,
this is the one.
hard to be able to use only qualitative data to show that a signal is more reliable.
The process was this.
How do you do that? We can't use numbers.
But that would be a
You
part of
have to
this
tell me
one,
that it's more
because
reliable.
one thing of matter is photosynthesis and.
Oh, I know.
respiration.
Don't get wrong
There's
about
a
it.
sense in that one.
That's numbers. That's numbers. There's
Yeah,
no,
there's a says assessment does not include factors.
Yes.
no matter how you look at it, you have to use numbers to show that something.
Well, okay, so.
It has to be qualitative. It has to be the type of.
Integrate scientific
Okay.
and technical information.
I don't think you should have that phrase about the boundaries.
Scientific
Just get rid of trade out boundaries.
Maybe I should have had moved it in.
But if you're teachers and you teach us and you don't know what you're that's.
Well, the idea is with the digitized signal, the.
All right, so develop along with
continuous
describe
signal,
slightly the matter,
digitized signal
energy
is,
among living and parts of pattern.
and so as we improve.
Yeah, I don't mind doing the clarification there, that this was better collation there, because the package out of it, that's just, you got little cubes on the side.
I don't understand why
That's
it's
not bad.
When you start dropping packets.
So that they know it's not like tiny, tiny details,
When the equation, the,
Yeah, I don't actually know that.
and that's what visual was don't match up.
It's a good concept, they should. Details.
Yeah, definitely.
Can you tell me my digital TV doesn't work very well?
And I think she could like that. Thanks.
Yeah, what did Mr. Massachusetts say?
Massachusetts, but they have such qualitative scientific and technical information to support the claim of digitized signals, but then they specify sentence wave pulses representing 0 to 1.
Which me, whatever it is, it's not a
Can be used to encode and transmit.
It's what they need to
Yeah.
know.
So they don't write
Do you
down.
like the assessment boundary, or should I take that out? Is that necessary?
They don't compare
I don't know.
signals.
Then what are they claiming?
Do you have system boundaries on any of the others? There's nothing.
They're like on that, well, all of
That's
that.
where you go, yeah.
They don't.
Right. Everybody gets who does this, what I'm supposed to. Teacher who wants them to pick up, pick up.
And then.
We don't even know what schools do like an honor level for eighth grade science as opposed to everybody else. Because they want to have the equations in front of them.
Because that's,
That's what we did. I mean, we learned how our cycles work.
But you can't do, can you do a level on these?
You can't do that, and I was doing your sentence, we just looked at it now.
And the only homework, and the only reason that, the only reason I need to talk about it, she said that.
Teachers said they had to walk outside.
I learned it. First 2 years, I teachers look at them. But it's
No,
not
it's
science.
about changes.
This is specifically population.
Got it.
And it's gonna be numbers, this is gonna be that graphic.
Well, I don't like the way this is
It's
written.
gonna be like
To me, it's
change,
like,
change on the disability. They build a lake and it drains the creek out, so you change
Mistake,
your
legal and moral issues.
ecosystem, and so how that would affect the
Fish
population.
like that, but just, yeah, you drink a lake of fish from that.
Yeah, that's the kind of thing that, yeah, so like you're not that
The
change
word
in the
ground.
ground.
Yeah.
Yeah. But this is for the ground.
Completely different thing.
It's a little
It's a
interaction.
and that to me is the same thing. This is
So
not.
when I look at the population
To
chart,
me,
so what if we
ground
have
is way
And
more
this one specifically is talking about data,
And
they're
to me, science is way
data and graphs and
stuff.
which is
So
good
I feel
stuff.
like
And then
water
conditions,
down,
like, if this has
water
been the
by
pattern for the last 100 years, what would you predict for the next 25 years of the pattern?
This doesn't, to
You know,
me,
see if they can extrapolate and.
Well,
you have
Well,
and.
what if we put,
and I think if we teach you a lot of things, you should do it when you teach waves.
Oh, yeah, that is.
well, that's what our definition is. So how about we use, so see where it says emphasis is on the basic understanding that ways can be used for communication purposes. How about they specifically have to write a scientific explanation that ways can be used for communication purposes?
That would be better.
Because
Because honestly, somebody's in and reading stereo instructions in science. Science class. And that's what we did. We read how our stereo worked, so that's science. No, that's nowhere near science. And the thing is this is one standard down.
I'm
And
reading
that means
those
like half of our standards are really different.
things down there, and I'm like,
What happens with half of our standards are,
They don't
look up the technical.
It's how they read it. It's how they read it.
So then if we just have develop a
Certain numbers that change the way it is to allow for communication.
purposes.
They're pretty rough, that changes, like arguments. There's an argument that changes, you know, there's an argument that changes the physical argument because of every Maybe we can have,
Because developing an understanding, you have to communicate that they learn it.
but I mean,
That's
there's,
not
there's
just
some,
saying,
you can
get
say
it,
in
yes, I
the
got it, develop an
changes
understanding.
to by
I
law.
learned it. But it has to be something that you're trying to either you do an
Please keep the
experiment
questions
or
parents
do a
can tag
paper,
over
do
their
a
middle school
presentation.
So write a scientific explanation.
Please run for middle school.
They're not, these
For
are
that.
questions that middle school students have to
just
answer.
No.
A scientific explanation that waves can be used for communication purposes. And then if you want to add the rest, that's fine.
This one, well, it's the bond summit.
I like that argument.
Supported by.
Where you're looking for the writer,
That is.
and I don't know if you have, I don't have any population that they.
Whatever you wrote it, that's not bad.
Whatever you said over.
The structure, it's right here, the share of the bond right there.
Class and stuff.
Well, that's like, yeah, like I said, we talked about how cell towers work. And how, you know, where they're
But that's-
and
Here's the proposed, pros and cons of each, which one?
Years ago, I had administrators talk about, oh, let's bring somebody in, they're experts on
I mean, you went in to actually design the school.
okay,
No,
I've
they're not.
been in 6 years.
Like some children, and here's another thing, where should we
Kids
build?
exactly like ours. And the
That would be
cost is
typical.
very little.
Here's our 2 or 3 locations where we might put your landfill, here, and your water line. This one is, you know, where are these,
Yeah.
where are these
Don't
things?
underestimate how
Yeah.
powerful your city is.
Ecosystem.
Buy something, fine.
Services.
We just sit down,
Yeah,
all of our teachers.
This seems like maybe the idea of the whole thing is good.
What message
They
is
won't
that
go
I like
through
it,
a
evaluate competing design solutions.
Teachers will go through and really make sure that that's right based on their experience.
That's pretty good.
Administrators, they.
And it doesn't, but it says evaluate competing
Buy a
design,
pack.
doesn't that automatically?
We're in our third year of our curriculum,
Okay,
and
so
so
we
look
just
at
say
that.
Yeah, but I-
design,
So we tell everybody, you gotta use the like,
Yeah.
truly up and running.
design solutions.
As a first year,
Discuss
we tackle all the
benefits
things that
and
make sense to us
limitations.
on the change.
I like
And
it
we go
because
through
evaluate
and
could mean to
show
just say,
them,
okay, I need to do
improve
this.
that, and then.
Where it says
some of the
discuss,
stuff that we're
advantage,
gonna talk about.
advantages and limitations,
And
and
then
it's
the
all
last year,
much that we're
polishing
pros.
up the.
And how serious,
And the last
something
year-
like
Somebody did make the comment, explain the pros and cons.
Yeah, I like
Usually
that.
are what I
Okay,
did on our
so
curriculum. Decided to
take
try
out
this.
this, take
My
out the
first
phrase
year, we
ecosystem
got
service.
administration.
So I did, I did Massachusetts.
I think they do a
Very
really
powerful.
good explanation.
They had it for us.
It's
Now,
a,
Yeah, right.
notice, if we could,
Yes.
notice that Massachusetts has 2 more ecosystem ones, or ecology ones. Okay. And I like to look at them because in the first one, it goes to when you're talking about.
I know it was this building, but it wasn't upstairs.
But it's different, it's trying to energy.
Yeah.
So we're 410, so the first one, or the second. Wait, are you looking to explain how change design would implement that? Look at both of them. So the first one is more like invasive species. How would an invasive species? So explain how change is going to do with the biodiversity of
how to document
a variety of
books.
species found in ecosystems may limit the availability of resources human use.
That could be tied into one more.
I was gonna say how that,
That could be tied into the specific then. You mean, yeah, that one, when we just.
Yeah, we just need to learn about how changes affect the right opportunities spots.
May limit the availability of
Human resources. Okay, so then if we don't have an updated, alright, so that one's already done. Look at the construct a model for food web, explain that energy is protecting resources, primary and secondary, and tertiary consumers, food webs, they interact.
I think that's in the other one.
Okay.
That's just specifying the food chain steps. I don't think the teacher's gonna go without that.
Okay.
I mean, that's where we can just go in, they just have these outposts, those kinds of things, where you know, this content, specific content, specific content, and assuming that you're gonna teach all that content, it's gonna be broader.
This is.
Well,
And here's the
Right.
thing, first, that we need
Really
to
small.
core ideas that need to be taught. So in order to.
And here's how we wrote it.
We need to make sure.
So you have
Yeah.
the intent, the estimated
Yeah.
time.
Well, that's where, that was the next step in just said, that's where they're going. And that might be where the next step like this would be, is to put those layers in. Some of them, that's straight from here, that's broad. This one, Massachusetts, putting some more specific ones, which I think in GSS,
Okay, I'm talking about here, this is in in here, we need to make sure that it's in here.
yeah, but that's what we're writing right now, we're writing this.
Well, this,
This,
later on.
yeah, this will come later in the process. Well, with the help that makes sense, with all the specifics. Because we're, as experience, yeah, I know, the biggest question is over here. And see, this is just less to detail, and then we put all this into because otherwise this used to be like what we got now, placement, which is, and all this, it's got so many specific little things. And I think too many teachers frustrated, okay, I'm teaching this, now I'm teaching this, or they teach several, and once they get the broad concept, they're at the same time.
But how is that
And
different
we
than
really narrowed it down.
I mean, this is all we have to do is just make sure that that matches.
Yeah, but let me do this, would fit into there, but this is the same, this is Yeah, next week, that's what, yeah, that will be back in the next week.
You know what I mean?
The teachers have to go to what he said, no, they don't have us,
She would take it home.
so we're tasked with, I'm thinking.
We may have to be,
Yeah,
no, I think we have to be
Oh,
and here's my thing, because I don't.
And then for James location, I really wanted to that, I added James, I went very well for the last,
And the reason
board meeting was
that I just,
Well, the thing is,
the January, February, and now this one.
I know.
Since the last.
We can, I can hold up front that
You're gonna do,
each meeting maybe less than
Oh.
this whole thing, maybe, maybe finish. Everything we've done, may not have come to conclusion on that.
about this.
So, the scope of that, we can ask them.
I know.
Because I see,
Yeah, it was funny in the state board meeting.
in
And that's actually, that's
in my head, the standard,
Oh.
either I feel like.
I think, I guess I have to look up the site again. I just saw something that was gonna be in here, open hearing about it.
Or I should do that, the idea.
Yeah.
Center, and this is because the goal is that we're gonna teach our kids, and what we teach our kids is not important, it's the part that we're doing is what
We
we're
decided, we said,
to me, what we're doing is the assessment.
these summative assessments were not going to be minutia.
But I could be,
Questions
I
on
mean,
it.
like I said,
We don't
my
want to
list,
separate A, B, C, D.
I just need to know for sure what the.
That's not what these tests are about. What the tests are about was,
Basically.
do they hit the watermark? We did say that what we taught, they
Or not.
learned these learning curves.
Not
And that's
exactly.
here,
They are.
but that's my point.
But you got to, which one do you start with? I mean, do you start with our content and go there, or you start with where our things?
No, like definitely start with,
Teachers, each
uh,
time they
if
look
you
at it,
work
say,
at,
okay,
start with what
I
you
didn't do
have
as
to
well
learn
in this, how
and
did you teach this?
Yeah.
So
How
you
did
can
you
do
teach
that,
this, how did you teach this?
absolutely do it that
And
way.
then that's the
However,
reason we
my,
have
my
this,
point is,
not for students, they're
are
for
we for
teachers.
sure
To
that we
reflect
have
on
an
how they
opportunity
taught.
to break
Well,
down?
but the thing is, if they
We generally
accept
don't
to do
do
those
it.
theaters and don't do the
It's taken.
One thing I think is, if they accept and do something,
And most of them do
they're
it
gonna.
well. He says,
But they
we have
don't.
some teachers
What
that
if we
are
thought they will stand
second
up?
year.
Oh, I know.
Not
So that's why, we're.
Everybody wants to know,
Why don't
how
we
did you
do
teach
one
that?
at once? Okay, let's do that.
Tell them I did this, I did this, I did this, great, send me the
All
file.
right, 2-5
The following
is
year,
evaluate.
everybody
No,
teaches
we're
it,
done. We're done.
everybody's teaching it.
Oh, we
better.
need it right.
Does that make sense?
Ready?
Yeah, and we should do that.
Yes, yeah, I have,
No.
Well, we didn't.
you don't need design solutions.
Well,
for
no,
techniques, need to discuss benefits and limitations of each design.
Like, this one, I just started to read questions. 20 of them were mentioned toys,
It's about words.
8 were straight according to, constructive response.
That's pretty close to it.
So we don't have
Yeah.
any solutions for students to be active, all right, so we have to figure that out for the life science stuff then.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
because
I think
we use that for right here.
They're new.
Our teachers develop all of our districts.
We're done.
Right. I used to write.
You're done?
Okay, do we wanna try to?
But that's what I wanted to think, keep them down, so
Oh,
that
yeah,
we can.
that's where.
Yeah.
Not very sports, but,
We are done trying to be, the middle school to middle school. So the only thing we really have left is, I don't know, we got together, move here, hot button topics and the first.
We have earth science and life
Free
science.
science, or if you break them out.
Well, that was, because it was a hot topic.
Yeah.
That's a hot topic.
The hot topic in our science is for May. Otherwise, it looks like we've pretty much covered all of the other ones except for what we're pushing. So when we get done with this, would anybody object or would anybody have any other business? Or
The only thing that we would need is, or we need to,
or any questions or?
just the briefness of, when do we think we're gonna meet in the summer? And, not necessarily pick dates, but maybe pick an idea if we're gonna do one a month or whatever.
Yes, we can,
Or if we're gonna like spend some time together in June or whatever.
okay.
And then, what to do, like, we need to do another survey. And
Okay.
just a general, I have a general format in mind that I'd like to run past, and then once we get some decisions, then we can.
And before we meet, maybe we can have, everybody has access to everything at one hand, just to make sure that we.
she had done before, it was the doodle, yeah. She was gonna send out those, but maybe we can at least pinpoint if we know that there are some dates that are just completely out already, so that she doesn't even waste her time throwing it on there. And then.
Well, just general format, like, do we wanna go back to 2 days in a row and try to get it done early, or do we wanna do one, or what?
But if it's summertime, you don't take time off class, it might be a good time to try and maybe get it 2 days.
Yeah, maybe like
And then we also need to contact the elementary ed, or the elementary science, and see where they're at with things. I think that's very, very important. Clara has the contact from that group. But, yeah, that's, okay.
All right. Email everybody what we did.
Or we just, yeah, that'd be great.
Okay. Very good. And then I took all of our notes, it's kind of sense.
If
She
she
used
has,
an analog method to take her notes.
if we get our thing done right, then we
Only
can.
budget.
Could be,
That's right.
I said, if we get our thingy, our written up, see if it's missing early, could we get a few of the first ones that, because we're gonna have an awful lot to get through in May.
We can, I mean, that's up to you guys, sorry. I'm not trying to push you all out here or anything, I just didn't know.
I'm just concerned, I don't want to leave so much, because those hot button, you know how that's gonna go, it's gonna take us a long time to get through that, and so if we can get through some of these that aren't, it'd be nice to go ahead and get some of that out of the way, so we don't have so much.
Okay,
So we can actually know we're getting done in May,
okay.
if we still
All of
have.
that part of it, yes. Okay, well, that works. Let's do this first. And I'm sorry, I don't have anything hooked up to a projector, I don't know if it is projector even made here, it was just the computer and stuff, but, anyway, so basically, there's a very simple format of what we did the last 3 meetings, because the last board meeting was before our January meeting. So we had January, February, and now it's from here in April. So what I was doing is I was just filling in the basics, the name of our group, secondary science, name and email, the chair for the work group. Claire already had that filled out. I filled mine in only because I'm vice chair, but I'm leading this meeting. I wanted to make sure I was covered in case they needed to know. Who's sending me this? Name and email the secretary. We technically don't have a secretary. We're kind of just all sharing the responsibilities, so it does not apply. As for unfilled spots in the work group, Clara had already filled in a couple of these. Otherwise, Desi no longer has the list of appointees on the resume. They used, and I know the list has changed some, and so I just checked again to see if maybe they put it updated, put it on there, and they still have it. So I'm making a point of that to them, that our group received a few new appointees as of the February and April meetings, but the online list of appointees is no longer on the Desi site to compare to. Therefore, we are now unaware of what is still open or who we need to contact. Could the appointees list please be put back online with these new additions?
Or you send to us.
So, and then dates and locations of where the work group met, I just have those listed there. It was January 15th, February 26th, and April 9th. And I have the room numbers of all of the building. Did the work group bring survey data. It was determined that we would use the data as a guide for standard wording, but would also consider the Massachusetts and South Carolina standards. Okay. Broke into two small groups to review the standards for high school life science and high school physical. And then today, what time would you say we actually began?
It's about 9:20 or so. I'm pretty good though.
And then,
As long as we don't get hit by tornadoes.
That's true. That's true. That I can.
So would everybody, I know it's your first week off, but would anyone object to meeting the week of June first? The end of that week maybe, possibly.
You're not gonna wanna be seeing things this summer on me. I'm going at least 6 weeks this summer.
Okay.
So if you haven't picked one where I can be here, then I'll be here. Otherwise, do not schedule around me. I'm out of state.
As long as it's the end of the week, I'm good.
Okay. So I'm just gonna, so that I can email Clara.
I am pretty open all summer long because I'm going to point out my baby's graduating, mom is done. And, but that doesn't mean I choose to spend my summer with you. I like it a lot, but I'm already back.
More than 9 weeks supposed to be.
As much as we need to meet in order to get the job done.
By October 1st.
By October.
So if we can get, it'd be nice to pretty well have this picked out by the end of the summer.
What does the job done look like?
Well, that's what we're having some discussion, we're gonna have to get some clarification as to.
We hand the State Board of Education our recommendation.
We were debating as to whether that includes the core ideas as to what to teach to get to the, because to us, well, some of us, those go together. And to separate them, we didn't.
Performance
You
expectations.
can't dictate everything. You can dictate if we go too far into the detail as far as how to get there, then the problem becomes we're trying to dictate curriculum and that's not.
Well, a lot of districts are wanting to use next generation science and then they do that.
Well, those are recommendations, which we could get there, but
Yeah.
Districts can do whatever the districts want to do.
Okay.
But the state of Missouri, anything from Nessie, theirs is nothing more than this is what we're going to test you on.
Okay.
Yeah. Because if you give way too many details, then you're trying to dictate curriculum, and that's unconstitutional. Districts do that, and we can say, hey, if you want some help with that, here's a document that can help you with those stepping stones to get there.
Susan, what they were asking was on the NGSS, we have performance expectations at the top, those disciplinary and core ideas below. They were thinking we need to put those disciplinary and core ideas with our performance expectations. I think that's beyond what we're tasked with right now.
Yeah, I don't think we'd have to
You
do
see,
that.
to me, when I was going through, there are some standards that I didn't have an issue with the standard, but when I looked at the core ideas, what they're teaching them to get to that standard, my issue was with the core ideas. I can give you.
Can you give an example?
I can. Let me find one.
There was several things looking at those, we've been just looking at performance expectations and all we are looking at.
I guess my concern is, I'll let you. My concern is that, quite often, I feel like the standard is extremely broad. And you could reach that standard in a number of avenues. But when a student is tested, it's a very specific term or.
Yeah, that's been a problem.
So,
But we can't control that.
Yeah, that's more of whoever's gonna write the test.
And so that's why they're going more to these,
Because if you write a
support
standard,
this, or look at this graph, do this and that stuff, that is what some of that specific vocabulary.
yeah, and you don't wanna write really tight standards because not everybody has the same classes in the same order, and the same.
A prime example is the engineering, okay? Frank has very.
We have a whole engineering department.
Fantastic
I have
program.
2 PhDs working in there. We have at least 16 teachers teach nothing but engineering classes.
And while I can understand there's a concern having a science teacher teach engineering classes, or not even engineering classes, but some engineering concepts. The problem is across the state of Missouri, you're not gonna find what Frank's got.
well, I guess then my
So
question
you gotta
would
think
be.
of you gotta really open your eyes on what's possible out there.
Because part of me feels like, all right, we're gonna, like our school, for example, has a class that is in space, like many schools. And we often joke that that's the funniest name for a class in the whole universe, if you will, because it's Earth and space. So really it's everything. And I kind of discussion with some of our classes. Okay, so, it says, create or revise a simulation to test a solution to mitigate adverse impacts of human activity on biodiversity. Nothing wrong with that. People do things that affect the environment, that, mess that up. Obviously, that's something we want to teach. When you get to the core ideas, it includes on there something about climate change. Okay, that's going to be an issue. You're going to have different opinions on that. And so, when they teach this, the impacts of human activity, it doesn't specify but in the core ideas, it does say climate change in there. And so, I would
I think we can't write those in there, though. That's what I'm saying is, we can't tell a school district what to teach and what not to teach. You can't say specifically, you have to teach climate change, or we can't say, you can't teach climate change. We can't tell them either one.
Okay.
Okay, that's local control, that's not gonna happen. We can say this is broad category, and if they choose the school district to teach climate change, to reach that, that's what that school district can do. We can't specify that.
But then the state is going to look at this.
Yeah.
This is part. And the state could devise assessments that include that.
Yeah, they could.
Now, then it will be taught.
And it's going to be taught.
But we don't know any of that.
We don't know, right, or we can't say, here's our broad thing, don't write a question about this.
Yeah, we
Just
don't
say talk,
have, like,
there's no way we're gonna
I
do
have
that.
never told at all what is an assessment. So,
And now we have.
that's my concern.
Yeah.
I don't know what's in the assessment. So I feel a lot of pressure.
We're not gonna write that into it.
How do you teach if you don't
It is,
have?
That's hard.
that's my concern. That is my concern.
That's
We are not allowed to even look over a student's shoulder. We're not allowed to ask them what they want to test. We're not allowed to do anything.
And
So
believe
I
it or
have
not,
no
I,
idea.
as an administrator, am not allowed to be in any of the buildings while we're testing. Like, I can't even
Yeah,
walk into a
And
building.
they actually get in trouble when kids bring all this up to you and say, Mr. Chairman, the question stated, blah, 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 what was the answer? And I'm sitting there going, what are you doing?
You can't even, also, if they can't use the tool, like they're all on computers now, it specifically states if they don't know, if they can't use the electronic ruler, and they say, I don't know how to use the electronic ruler, I'm not allowed to help them use the tool.
But that's
So
my
there's a
concern.
practice test that involves using that every time.
Right, there is a
At
practice.
least we have it now.
It's broken.
It's broken.
It's broken.
We have been getting a letter from the school saying that there will be no, cell phone, no anything
Oh, yeah,
in the
no.
room. Like, if they bring it and say, teacher finds out, then their test gets completely thrown out the window.
But I guess
And that was
my
our
concern
day, I had a kid and he had his iPad, he was and I said, you're gonna have to put that, that's the iPad, to me, I'm 40 years in my job. So let me call the principal, and we have this discussion.
We can't do anything from the testing here. It would be so wonderful if we
And your
could.
kids, I think you cannot find
Zero control, they can do whatever they want.
Who's that? You
I don't know who's in right.
It's all about kids reason and reground. Yeah, it was for us. So it's probably right. But it's not mine. And it's all right. And this can be
And when we're getting and I'm testing online and the communication companies and the computer companies are all
You know what I mean? The thing is, that there's one way reports start going out, you know, about I'm not being honest. When they pull up the nationwide, and go to the script, there are no access. Yes, there is. You can't teach this
if we wanna wait till everybody's out of school, if we could, again, I'm just suggesting these, if she wants to put these dates on the Google thing, and then we can kind of pick and choose. June 4th and 5th, that's a Thursday, Friday again. That way, let's see, that way it'd be kind of at the beginning of June, and then again at the end of June, 25th, or 26th, 27th, that's a good Friday, Saturday. Again, these are just dates if we want to do more than one day, kind of try to spread them out a little bit. Otherwise, then in July, again, because of the availability and people's vacations and stuff, I'm just kind of, except for the July weekend, I was going to go ahead and tell her to just throw out on there all 3 other weekends in July. That way, if we find, so that we know people's availability in case we end up coming into, wow, we really need to meet again before everybody starts school. Because I know the beginning of the school year is crazy for the teachers and.
Well, we discussed having a survey finished up and approved by the end of July, so we can send it out in like an August 15th to September, whatever. I give them 3 weeks and then we can take the feedback from that and meet sometime in September hopefully and finish out a report and finish out our recommendations and be done. Because that survey wouldn't be necessarily completely like this one. It would be like it, don't like it,
But we we may have a few things we still need to tweak or something.
Yeah.
That should be the big.
Yeah.
And then you had said about meeting a little bit longer. The dates that I'm putting on there are like, 3 days, like 3 days options, so that people
Yeah.
can pick and choose the date. Would we want to meet like instead of meeting 2 weekends in July, would we want to just meet like a 1-3 day stretch and just knock it out?
As I say, my time is open, so I have to let you all.
Okay. Well, I'm throwing, like I said, I'm throwing some dates out there to Clara. She's already got the account set up on Google. She'll go and she'll put in all of those dates and send it out to us, and then we can pick and look at our schedules when we get home and say, okay, I'm available that weekend, I'm available now.
I don't believe I'm in that, like, do you have like a time on there?
She'll
She'll get it out to you.
Oh,
And then you can click on it.
is August gonna be like crazy, please don't make us meet in August?
I want to try to,
I've been doing this long enough, it really doesn't matter at this point. I'll show up. The magic happens.
We have so many, like, we have so many things.
yeah, we
Support stuff starts.
And I'm a
August
freshman
3rd.
advisor, so I'll be over all the school orientation.
I don't have drivers.
if possible, I'd like to try to knock out as much as we can by the end of July, so that August is easy for teachers and we're not. And even if we do meet in August, I don't want to meet if we get closer to the end and everybody's kind of settled in a little bit. So that's just kind of my thought. But I got you. I know, I need teachers. I know those first couple weeks are rough. So, okay. All right, so I'm going to send this and the report to Clara. All right, so that is it.
Okay. So, we're gonna finish this up in May, hopefully, and get everything typed up and sent out to us before the end of May. Does anyone need help typing? Wasn't that the request?
To give it
Oh,
before
I
the
mean,
next meeting.
Yeah, before the next meeting, right?
what we have right now, Shelley and I, you might help me out or whatever, just get here.
No, that's fine, and
Well, you guys actually, you guys did.
Today is just like-
I've already typed that, so I'll just plug you check that.
okay.
And email, I received it.
Yeah.
So you just need to be clearance and then I'll type mine up.
Okay, so that's not gonna be a huge deal for you to do. Okay, and then here.
It's to be determined, it's gonna be probably,
MSBA, which is, yeah. Is it that way? I don't know, I get turned around. It's close to here. You can still park here and walk. It's that way. There you go.
okay.
And then,
suggestions are there.
Well, yeah, but the school.
But that takes time. You
And
actually
actually,
sit
I have a
through.
list that I still.
Then that's what we just say.
I know.
The lead document you have right now is not the lead document that they turned out years ago, is it? I think shape or form. In '93, they had the blue placemat, which it was open season at that point. And then, the first, lead set of stuff that they set out had tons of stuff, and nobody caught it, and it wasn't testable. Well, after a few years, and they realized, oh, we can't make test questions on this, they went through and picked out certain ones. And then they went through and reworded them. I mean, the what we use right now is not the same thing. So we don't have to have everything lined out perfectly. And on top of that, even if they do nothing more than set those performance expectations, that's all we've ever had. There's a whole document that everyone can refer to get an idea. There's more than one document because they've come up with some stepping stones to help people understand for the high school that says, okay, if you're teaching this expectation, here's an idea of how to organize concepts to teach to get there.
One difference though, when you say that's all we've ever had, however, in the past, they weren't written as performance expectations. They were, the core idea, that was how they were written. That was what they had.
Well, they weren't performance expectations like this. They're grade level expectations. So they're very knowledge based. What we currently have is very knowledge.
Which would be the
And
equivalent
this
of core idea.
sheet,
Yeah.
the difference that this makes is, yes, it's still expectations, but there's three dimensions to these expectations. There's a lot more depth to these expectations. And quite frankly, if we can get the state of Missouri to agree to a bunch of expectations and they can't figure out how to make a multiple choice test question too, then so be it. And when it finally goes to local control, okay,
That would
would
be
you get
great.
that? So, you see what I'm saying?
No, I agree with you. And that was the most beautifully stated.
In a few
statement.
minutes.
I second that.
So, there's no way I'm gonna be allowed to legislate this.
No.
We just can't. There's state law against it, you know, there's a group of people right now that are fussing about this whole process, and fussing hugely about it, and I'm looking at them going, what do you think you're going to do? This is state law. The state law says that these groups be convened, it dictated how these groups are going to be convened, and this is the process. So, you know, like it, lump it, doesn't matter. We've tried our best in this room to bring validity to the process, to send it out to everybody. Because quite frankly, even though I try and have an open view, my view doesn't include everything. Okay? So we've got to try and think about standards for every student in the state of Missouri. And every student in the state of Missouri does not have what goes on in Hallsville, doesn't have what goes on in Liberty, doesn't have what goes on in East Summit. You know, you go out to Malta Bend, you want to take an antelope, there you go. You know, I mean, there's really organic. But I said, take it organic, go analog. So, that's the problem, and that's why, because when standards are usually done, it's not done in a group of 10, 11 people who can figure out how many should come here. Okay, it's done in larger situations. And that's just it, that's the best we can do.
There's going to be simple curriculum on the NGSS out there.
Well, I know.
And it's up to the individual school district to have the curriculum, and, you know, I walked into a teaching situation, previous teacher had left nothing. I mean, there used to be nothing. This has been one since Susan and I started teaching.
Yeah.
That you started doing the curriculum thing. I walked in, I had 6 parts and I had no curriculum there. Here's your textbooks, start teaching.
Yeah.
6 different classes a day. And that's what it was. Now, you know, there is at least more out there. You can go to the web and get stuff, and we are now forced to write curriculum in the classroom, and people fight it.
Yeah.
Teachers hate doing it because if they're a good teacher, they know how to teach and they know what they're using. But to put it in this formalized format, it drives them nuts.
Yeah.
Because that's not how their good teaching works. But yet it's part of a veteran teacher's responsibility to help new ones along, whether they're new to the district or brand new to teaching. That's part of it. That's what I'm getting to do now that I'm retired from actual teaching, and it's been a joy to help them. But that's where it is. It's not going to be on some document, because once you look at that document, that's going to tell you how to do anything. What you should do, not how to do it.
And there's 2 years between, let's say, you know, the pie in the sky, the State Board of Education says, you all did great, we're
are going out in districts and groups and in clusters and saying, okay, send your science teachers here, we're gonna explain what this means. You know, we're gonna explain how to do this, we're gonna give some sample activities, we're gonna give some stuff here, so they have an understanding of what to do here, and not go at this cold. Because quite frankly, and I know this is fighting words, but Common Core standards, the standards themselves really are not that bad. It's how they've been implemented that has completely and utterly stunk. And part of the problem is there was not enough professional development available out there so they could truly understand what to do. Because like we were talking today, the 500 steps to the math problem and why on earth would you do that? That really, that shouldn't have been done. But that is a curriculum company that got out there and got that stuff in the way. And so, because if we sat and we feel through Common Core like we look through NGSS, for the most part, 90% of it, you all are going to go, that's fine, that's just one of But in action, it's the putting it in action. And if you want to put it in action well, you're going to have to give some professional development.
And take time to develop what would be good practices, and then do the algebra math.
Yeah.
Fine.
Yeah, for me, it was more what came with this. Because the standards of themselves are guidelines, like you said. You know, just gives you some kind of framework. It's what came with the initiative is what.
Yeah.
And then the assessment. And the curriculum, because teachers don't know, I mean, they've got to protect their job. And the high stakes assessments, because now teachers' jobs are tied to these tests. And then there's accreditation ties to the
That's what I'm worried about. Well, but it's not only on the kids, it's on their families.
So that's what the uproar is. It's like,
It's just like doing our hardest.
And the plus is when you're throwing out the good.
Yeah, but we keep the good. But that's what this is about. Oh, it's keeping the good stuff.
that's the way that being someone.
Yeah, I mean, but that one, at that point, that's what it's just about the being able to say, hey, you want to help your kids with homework, come to these parent nights, we've got some babysitting for you, we've got this, we've got
That's what our
that.
district did, and so we don't have real medical in our district because our school had parent nights come in, learn how to do that, come in, you know, and they did all that.
Well, I don't understand, what I don't understand is why, the smaller school districts that don't have the money for PD and, the schools, the charter schools, why they can't team up with a district. And because I had a student teacher and she had a job at a neighboring district, same book, same numbering thing, no tests, she didn't even get a teacher's edition. The kids had a book, and that was it. Well, thank goodness, I had everything, and I had it on disc. So I just marched right over with the desk, and I downloaded it on her computer, so that she could have all the information that she needed. I had an extra teacher's edition, because we had tons of them. I just gave her one. And
like districts to do it, and then there's not until they come down to students, it's not for all students.
We have, we actually, our district is passing bonds that we are now having a STEM category in our district. Good for you guys.
Well, Debbie,
That's mine.
it's wonderful, but Debbie, here in Chicago, a lot of teachers came up to me afterwards and go, all right, how do you show us, how do you do engineering? You showed us how to do engineering without all this stuff.
Who said that?
People in Chicago after my presentation, because, you know, I said, well, yeah, my district can't afford that, so
Yeah.
we're powered on.
That's what we did with.
I just, other engineering.
all the tests keep just the biology there? Or if
Exactly.
they do an overall test, or they give the
I think
ACT
the
after
manager
good?
would want us to.
But they have to find it.
We don't
We
teach
have-
science in our high school.
So this, yeah,
Oh,
the
okay.
only classes that we're taught in is Earth and Space, but not every student learns these.
We don't have
standards.
those. Yeah.
So
So
not every
that's-
student is learning this information.
That's why he's saying, because it'll be put into, fit into other courses somewhere, somehow.
If it's something that's really, really important to you, you've got to get it in middle school, or where they do have to take it, or.
Nuclear fusion is certainly taught in every class.
Yeah. So they can learn that idea too.
Yeah, and they do learn that in.
But the lifespan of the sun is,
I teach it in my chemistry class.
the lifespan of the sun.
Absolutely.
Well,
See, not all of our
most-
kids take chemistry.
I would say that that's a rare chemistry.
Because when we talk about elements, we talk about where they came from.
Yeah.
So we talk about how the sun grows over time, and
Yeah.
it will eventually go off the earth, and how it will then start fusing with helium and then straight back down. So
Gives the
we-
timetable to come.
And then, you know, when we tell them that everything's made of a piece of stardust, they all go, what? It's really exciting.
But, so should, yeah, I don't know.
If, for students who are not getting earth science in middle school because they have been pulled for that second hit of math or ELA or reading, and that happens probably more than we realize, it should be in there. And
But we can't plan for schools that don't teach science in middle school. We shouldn't plan for that.
But what about the kids that don't go to college and aren't going to take chemistry and physics in high school? That's what earth science is for in
So
our
then,
high school.
Technically speaking, are you saying we shouldn't have any?
That's true. No, that's true, and we do teach it in a class in meteorology, but you're talking about 10% of our kids. And this is.
See, I think a
standard
lot
for
more of
all
ours
kids.
take it, a lot more of ours take that.
This is a standard for all the kids.
And we have 0 or something in our school.
Yeah,
No,
we don't have
we're
any
not
earth
earth
science,
science.
but we do have, astronomy, which
So we don't have that.
they cover.
We don't have anything besides biology.
Because you have it all in middle school.
I don't know what they learn in school. What?
But
That's
yeah,
not good.
okay, we don't, I don't teach the 11-year science class cycle.
I take, well,
In chemistry, I don't do that.
well, and I can just say the 11-year, that's debatable because a lot of people teach 22 years. Year sun's cycle.
They know that not all
Yeah.
teach earth science, and not every student takes earth science, because we've got, what we got here, we got earth science, physical science, life science, and they divide up physical science, physics, and chemistry, and all the biology classes. They know that not every student is going to take all these. I don't know.
If that is, that would be a good suggested for if your school offers an earth science. course.
That's what this,
Great.
because,
But this is not a requirement for our students to learn.
because they're not going to ever go to test for earth
I
science at the
think
state
chemistry,
test.
I mean, be saying that, so that's how we want to approach this.
I would
The
approach
first
it.
science course that students are not required to take, is that how we're approaching it? Because
Um,
there are currently, because I'm currently on Bessie, you can go and you can get a chemistry set of standards and you can get a earth science chemistry
Yeah.
set of standards, but students are not required to take those courses.
That's
So
right.
the
So
direction.
it's the
Not-
same, so
not
we
a
know.
test. We don't have a test. There's not a state test that covers that.
Exactly.
Okay, that's-
Well,
But it's not state mandated.
The state does require that you take so many science courses, and that way it does enable you to say, in order to count as a course, if it's going to be chemistry, it needs to cover these things. If it's going to be earth science, it needs to cover, so that no matter which grade you choose, at least you have.
Okay, so that's the way we're approaching it. Not every student has to know this, just every student who's taking earth science.
I like that approach.
I don't know how
I'm fine
to
with that.
approach it.
Yeah,
I don't know.
absolutely. Because then you were tasking
You
the
know, the other thing we do
districts
take away
to.
local control and say.
Exactly,
Right.
exactly.
Okay.
And
Should we write that down?
I think that's something that needs to be discussed when we present this to someone, that needs to be like a.
You know, we,
because then once we move back to high school, we
Yeah,
have to do this.
I'm really
They're
good
there
for
every
that.
time.
It's undefeated in cross activities.
we literally have 30 minutes to say everything.
In both high school and collegiate levels.
And I have the state board looking at me like, okay, next.
Okay, so now that we've said that, now we can take another look at this.
Okay. But if I were going into earth space class, energy, as I've taught it in the past, energy is an entire unit, so this would absolutely be discussed, fusion.
Fusion energy.
Now, talking about the sunspot, I did not teach that to my students. I
You
didn't.
would in earth science.
I think, well, I did. We didn't really talk about the sunspot. You know, like when we focused on when we did our portion.
But you know, the sunspot thing is now in the news a lot more because so is all our electronics.
Yeah.
So if that's something the kids hear, it'd be worthwhile.
It's a fun thing to teach
Absolutely.
because you got northern lights.
It was
you got
fun.
light stuff. You can
Because
talk
it's
about.
fun.
Are you teaching 11 year or 22 year or whatever somebody else said?
Well, it depends, like my friend says, who has a degree in all this stuff. He said it depends on how you look at it. Some people look at it as an 11-year cycle, and some people look at it as a 22-year cycle, depending on how you look at the peak and how you look at the frequencies of them. He personally is 22, and at the time, the opposing person who was in charge was an 11-year cycle person.
Well, do we want to get, clarification?
Okay, well, that's an example.
It's, we're talking,
I was gonna say,
the effects of the sunspot is what matters.
Yeah.
And
Right.
the technology that's going forward, how's it going to affect what we're doing? And now, the more frequent it is, it could mean more problems, but we don't have to say, it's test question, 11 years or 22 years.
Well,
That's not.
okay, so are we
The
gonna
fact that
have,
there is a cycle, the fact that it is cyclical, we're equal.
are we including examples on here? Because if we are, we don't have to put 11 years.
I would say we can't just put a sunset.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. Yeah, just take out the 11
If the kid
years.
doesn't know how many years it is, it's not like you failed, you know nothing about earth science.
Right.
You are not prepared for life.
Yeah, just put the sunspot cycle. I'm good with that.
Okay, and then I disagree with the statement, assessment does not include details of the atomic and subatomic processes involved with the sun's nuclear fusion. Then what exactly
the doc and then I'll copy and paste when I copy and paste it to you.
Release energy in the form of radiation. And a verification statement. Because they don't have this verification statement in their Word document. Alright, so you guys can start talking about the next one. Or do you want me to, so all I did is, I'm just keeping this and I'm taking out this and that. It's the only thing I'm doing differently.
And changing this as well.
And, yes.
Pick up more.
Yeah,
Okay.
so that, like,
In the case that this isn't a separate course, I'm looking at South Carolina here. It says construct explanations for how elements are formed using dynamics, nuclear union, triangles and stars in order to deliver.
Nuclear union.
I know.
In their future.
I know you did.
I do like that wording a little better.
But
And then,
so it's the explanation of how elements are formed, if we could try to.
I did,
that's the concept of fusion. And then once that photon of light has been released from the sun, it takes 8 minutes for it to reach the Earth. And so that's the concept of fusion. In regards to the lifespan of the sun.
So basically, some of the things, but some of the things that are going to be coming, like Big Bang Theory, if that's one of the hot topic, yeah, if that's one of the hot topic issues, then obviously anything that's related to how old the sun could be will also tie into
So
that
then we need
issue.
to put one, so is that going to be 3 as well?
No, because 3 is dealing with the fact that by the act of fusion, elements are created.
Okay, so we can still do 3 as possible.
So the sun is creating new elements.
Yes.
It's combining the nuclei
Yes.
of elements.
So
And
it's
by
to
the
create
and that's the definition of an element. More protons. All elements. Every element in our universe has been created inside of a star. So hydrogen is what our sun is currently made of. And we know that based on chemical spectras that we see in the spectral fingerprint. And so we understand that this is hydrogen. Hydrogen inside of that sun, and this is how we form energy, can actually come together with the nuclei of those two. So the 2 protons come together. Helium, by definition, is 2 protons. And so that would then create helium. And then we get more and more. So the more massive that star is, the more elements they can create because they can combine more nuclei to create larger proton nuclei.
So the sun is expanding.
Actually, it will expand. And once it, and to a point where it will eventually.
But these
equal-
elements, some of these elements are shooting off.
Exactly. Right.
They don't stay in the sun.
So it's not like we're not creating matter. It's not creating something new. It's rearranging the current structure into what we call a new element. The definition of one element to another is an additional proton. So the only difference between hydrogen and helium is 1 proton. The difference between helium and lithium is 1 proton. And inside of stars, nuclear fusion is combining 2 nuclei together to create, quote unquote, a new element. So
It's a newer reaction, that's what chemical reaction.
exactly.
Well, yeah.
And we have successfully done nuclear fusion in Europe just recently. It's only lasted for a few seconds, but we actually took 2 helium atoms and we combined them and we did create a hydrogen atom.
It's super hard to do
And we've
because
done it.
it takes so much energy.
It's a losing process for at this point.
where they go, well, what's gonna happen? I always point, don't worry, you'll be dead.
That's your grandchildren.
You're not gonna let this happen, you know?
Yeah.
In 5 billion years, my
Okay,
goodness.
so then are you saying then we don't need three?
Correct.
It'll be combined.
It'll be, with number one is combined, so yes, we don't need
So
three.
we've already done that, we needed to combine them, and we can just.
We can now go to four. Yes, ma'am.
All right.
We are being effective and efficient.
Where's the storm?
Yeah, you guys are obsessed with weather. I love it.
Oh my gosh, I'm not gonna, it's between 65 and.
Oh, it is coming up.
Yeah, but it's gonna move to, ooh, maybe where you don't wanna be right now.
Did you hear that, Reed Timmer is in Kirksville today? Reed Timmer, storm chaser?
I don't doubt it. But he needs to drop down 30 miles to Macon, because Macon's about to be a hit.
I was all excited, I'm like, I'd love to meet Reed Timmer, but
Um,
he
it's
announced that the
about-
house got destroyed.
We're about to Boonville right now, Boonville to Fayette is the closest one. And it's kind of moving northeast, and so it has only moving green below I-70 is the radar. All the red and orange is north, so we're looking good.
Somebody's got a capitalization.
I was about to say, someone has an issue once again with solar sometimes. Well, if they want to be that, nitpicky, then we should probably let them know that moon is not the proper name. What our moon is Luna. I'm just gonna read, the name of the moon is actually Luna, so we really want to go down that
You want to see
road.
something funny though? Go to 1-2, just to the comments. And there, lowercase universe is the observable universe, uppercase universe refers to the whole universe, the standard refers to the universe.
Oh, who wrote that? That's too awesome.
They had to have a mistake when they wrote the correction.
Way too much for my calculation to make this.
Okay, why is, oh, this is off. Where is this one?
Yeah, that's for us.
I think that's an interesting.
Oh, I don't know how to start. Okay, where is this
Well,
one?
I don't know, military, I mean,
Where's one?
There's your front, right there.
Oh, we got one.
And it's going this way.
1-5 is not, I'm
I
sorry,
like
1-5 is
Massachusetts.
This is a Shadow, Missouri.
I like Massachusetts,
we're
yeah,
not
what is
gonna-
number four? I like the Massachusetts revision because it starts with Kepler's law. Use Kepler's law to predict the motion of orbiting objects in the solar system. Describe how orbits may change due to gravitational effects from or collisions with other objects in the solar system. I think
Probably
that's
about right there.
very
Which
well.
is funny, because one of the comments on here, we should not include content like.
So we should be good.
I'm not sure what that.
Yeah, some people don't know.
We're gonna be running along with the storm. There's St. Louis.
No, I already got it.
Yeah,
Well,
it's
now
not.
570 is not much though.
East, that east.
Okay, cool. And is it west of us right now?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's about Boonville. Yeah, and like I said, the red's heading north. So we're on I-70.
Anybody else have an opinion on
It's
this
just a
one?
little.
I like the way.
A little bit.
I do, I like the way Massachusetts did this.
I like the way they Massachusetts.
And I like the clarification as well.
And this is another thing, we're gonna have opportunity to keep the standards high,
Absolutely.
which is good.
So are we all in agreement?
There's nothing about like.
Well, yeah.
If they did want it, they should have came out and
So
just-
should I read it, read it, one phrase, one phrase, I think that's good. I love how you're like, no, wait,
So as soon as this one right here is fine?
I'll just put
I
one
agree.
phrase, not a
I think
specific.
that's what we're talking about.
Okay. Okay.
I'm happy to make this.
I love this.
I just,
Okay, so we did 1-1, 1-3, 1-4.
Yeah, we're keeping 1-4 just as Massachusetts revision did.
Okay, 1-5 and 1-6 one 501 fixer up here on the
On the
top.
top, yeah.
So we'll come back to it.
Oh, okay, we're coming back. What are we trying to do next?
I would say 2-1.
Wait, I don't,
Oh, what? The age of
age of the earth. And well, is this when we talk about the age of the earth or just like your
I just threw it in there because I saw ages of crystal rocks.
Where's this
So
at?
I threw it up on top because I didn't know
I
how
think
to.
that we need to go down to age of the earth kind of question.
Where we're talking?
Which is carbon dating, that one, wait, where are we?
One side.
So we
So
want
we 55 and 60.
Yeah, but we measure that now from satellites, the plate movement.
Yes, but the emphasis, yeah,
The age of crystal rocks, part of the emphasis there is what threw that into the
I see.
top.
Okay, so
Just because the plates are moving so much now, it get faster and it.
During the
alright, so let's move to 2-1.
Okay.
Oh,
I'm going the wrong direction.
Well, to explain how Earth's internal and surface process operate to illustrate spatial and geological and continental erosion features. So we're talking about collisions and up and down and collisional and slip side. I got lost in all of them. Collisional boundaries go up and down. Arctic sea.
And it's funny because Massachusetts made a note here that they combined this with their middle school too. They basically.
This is like a middle, I have like a middle
So
school.
they moved this to middle school.
But in high school or space classes, if we're looking at it from that perspective, not over time, I think this is essential for a.
However, because this is kind of an essential thing, at middle school they're going to get it. At high school they may not get it. I mean, because they may not have that language. So it's
Agreed, so in the urban space class, it really has to
Yeah.
take it and be, haven't hit it again. Because if you have it, I mean, you can't tell a student, I'm really into volcanoes. And in high school, and I want to take go to space, and I want to learn about volcanoes, and then we don't teach them volcanoes. That's like saying, you're in chemistry, and we're not going to teach you about acids and bases. You would kind of expect acids and bases in chemistry class, whether or not they're in standards from that.
So are you saying that there's more that we can, I mean, if this is already covered in middle school, is there something deeper? I mean, if you're not going to.
Okay,
All you're going to do is repeat it, then I think it's.
How can we take it deeper? Well, what is the phrasing? Is it develop a model or is it understand?
It is develop a model and to operate especially
In middle school?
no.
I mean in middle school, that we're.
No, in middle school, it's pretty much the same thing.
yeah.
Okay.
I just read the clarification statement, I remember that, I don't remember the develop the model thing yet.
Well, and the other thing I'm thinking is, you know, if there are schools who are maybe trying to work some of these into some of their other, you know, if we can keep it to where there isn't anything unnecessary, it might be more easy to fit into, you know.
Well, middle school actually starts taking into all kinds of other, developing using models to illustrate the energy from Earth's interior during its convection, cycles Earth's crust leading to melting, crystallization, weathering, and deformation of weather formations, including generation of ocean seafloor ridges, converted to ocean seafloor trenches, mountain building, and active volcanic.
Because they're just now learning about, in sixth grade or in middle school, they start learning about the transfer of energy and how the tectonic plate, or how convection currents drive the tectonic plates, because they don't have a clue. They don't have a clue. But they know what a lava lamp is.
I do like how South Carolina wrote it though. I like how they say construct explanations of how forces cause crustal changes as evidence in seafloor spreading, earth
geology course, which they are required to know all, they're required to know a certain amount before they walk into that geology class.
And
they get that.
This is also the difference between the strand and the core content. Because the strand can be the same in middle school and high school, but the core content is going to be different. What the teacher does with the strand is going to be at a high school level versus what they're going to do with the strand at the middle school level.
They won't do the same thing.
And it'll depend on what their use of that class is. Is it an upper level elective, is it a lower level elective, what is it? And that's when it varies from district to district.
Because you could argue that in high school they use more data, they use graphs, they look at the actual course, they look at more complex details of the same standard as what they do in middle school, but the middle school is not going to be looking at graphs and calculating forces or whatnot.
And in middle school, the kids are still very concrete, sequential. When they're in high school, they have more abstract thought, and they can understand the information at a way different level than when they were in middle school.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind making it more difficult or replacing it, but I just don't know
I don't know how to word it
know what I would do
either.
to do that.
Well, like if you look like the next couple, next 2 or 3, whatever standards, I mean, there's still a lot of things you can do for projects and classes in there, and if you don't have to do that one again, then it just gives you more time to do a project more in depth
On this
on,
one.
the next semester.
These are just some suggestions.
Right, let's see. But can you teach nerd science class without teaching about how the shore is created
No.
for the features?
No, I don't think you can really teach a chemistry class very easily without people knowing something about our planet.
Yeah. I don't know what to, I don't know how to change it. I understand, I
absolutely understand what you're saying.
Yeah, I agree.
I absolutely.
I think we have to, in earth science, we have to talk about ocean floor creation. But I do agree that maybe this is too simple. Maybe there's a way we can make it a
But
higher.
they already learned that. Why do you have to teach again if they've already learned that?
Do they learn?
Yeah, like I said, there are a lot of kids who don't get earth science in middle school.
Well, no, yeah, but what I'm saying is teach it at a higher level.
We can touch on cells
We can-
once in K-12.
We can, yeah, we do in sixth grade, we tell them about
That's all
cells.
we do.
We tell them about the parts of cells. We do the same thing in 10th grade, but we actually add a chemistry layer to it to tell them, like, not only does the mitochondria make it as the powerhouse of the cell, but here is the chemicals and here's where it happens on the skin of the mitochondria. So on the surface, it may seem like we're teaching the same thing twice, but we couldn't possibly teach what we teach in high school to a sixth grader. And I would like to make this standard a little bit more difficult if ocean for creation. I don't think you can teach earth science without it, but I don't know exactly how to do that. But to me, this is something that it's not like we're in calculus now, so none of us are going to talk about addition. You have to be able to add.
But you don't have to teach it again.
Oh, yes, you do. And oh my gosh.
Oh,
You
yeah.
won't believe how much I have to
You
teach.
say divide by
They
10.
cannot multiply, they can't divide. I teach math and chemistry. That's your, it's calculus. Yes.
Yeah, if you say divide by
Shocked
10,
how many
you're
times
seeing,
students
you
don't
ask the
understand
kids to
math.
divide by 10, every single kid will pull out a calculator.
It would be shocking.
And last year, I didn't allow calculators in my challenge physical science class. You thought I said, go stand on your head naked out in the parking lot.
We have-
With the looks on their faces.
In advanced placement chemistry, they're not allowed to use a calculator for a
know in order to be successful in their high school classes, and they all said, it doesn't matter what you teach them in science, just make sure they do the math.
Yeah. Well,
Because
what we can do,
chemistry is right, essentially, and like, one of the biggest issues I have in chemistry, we have a whole one. Let me just show you this one thing, and this is something that if I could change just one thing, this would be it. Density equals mass over volume. Okay? I give my students density, and I'm going to give them the mass of the object. So instead, I'm going to say, guess what? The density is 7.4, mass is 4.2, solve for volume. They can't do it.
no.
The first thing they're going to tell me is divide volume. Why are you dividing
Or
volume?
they'll add.
Because you're supposed to divide. What?
But then,
The first thing you do is you get rid of volume in the denominator, and they don't even know what denominator is.
well,
And
so
they are high school.
whenever you do science, there's a lot of basic concepts we teach, and then we just build on it to make it more and more complicated. We tell the kids about the atoms in fourth grade, we tell them about what an atom looks like, where a nucleus is, but we don't never revisit the atom. We just get more and more complicated about the atoms we move on. 11th to 12th grade. I agree with you, this isn't complicated enough for high school, and I think that we can build on this, and build on what the middle school has, to make it more creative. But to say that you can teach an earth science without teaching ocean floor, I think you're missing a huge part of it. I don't know how to make it more complicated, maybe that's, we just leave a question mark on it.
I got it, Jack.
Well, why don't you go to your little Bloom's taxonomy thing and look for a different thingy and see if there's something you can,
Instead of maybe construct a model, perhaps we could, let's
maybe you
see.
can analyze something or.
Well, it says,
Yeah.
it says, though, it says operate at different spatial and temporal scales.
So under this condition,
Okay.
how will this particular boundary be affected versus under this one?
Right. And so, and in middle school, they never attempt that.
No.
So there's the difference in the difficulty right
Maybe
there.
the clarification statement where they say the emphasis is gonna be on the appearance, but maybe that should be the emphasis.
There you go. Because the assessment does not include memorization of details, so rather it should be, could we, instead of saying develop a model to illustrate, we can then say predict how different spatial and temporal environments affect performance and evaluation of teachers.
I don't know what the discussion is.
Well, spatial means, geographic.
Yeah.
Where it is
Space.
located.
Yeah.
Temporal means time.
Like how long it takes, how big is it gonna get?
I'll give you an example of the North Pole and South Pole sometimes switch, and you can tell because as the Earth is being created from the inside out in the ocean floor, you can take a magnet and you can see that the iron in there switches its direction.
Yeah, it's hilarious.
Yeah, so you can take the magnet and drag it along the bottom, you can see it go backwards and this way, and this way, and this way. Because
we're not going to say that this is essential, that every single student has to have these standards to graduate. This is a recommendation if the district is choosing to implement or based
And
on.
I'm hearing stuff like, well, this is mainly for kids that aren't going to take those science courses, and so it's giving me the impression that this is a class for low-level kids that aren't going to,
Excuse me.
No,
I think this is nice.
I'm just saying the discussion is, the things that I'm hearing give me that impression.
Usually that's the case.
I'm not saying it
That's
should
not
be
how-
that way.
That's not how we design it.
Yeah.
But you have to take a third science. And if you've already had chemistry and biology, then you're limited to taking advanced chemistry, advanced biology, or starting out with third science. Or doing physics. And if a student, in order to do advanced biology, advanced chemistry, or physics, they have to be great at math. They just have to. There's a lot of math expectations in all those courses, even biology. There's a genetic element to that. So if they can't do the math stuff, then they defer to earth science. Some of those kids will become geologists who work for Mobil Oil and make $1 billion and are doing fantastic. But the vast majority of those kids are trying to avoid math.
But a lot of those kids still also have other options now because a lot of the tech classes, a lot of the tech classes, that are off,
If they
some of
can't
those.
science credit.
But, and
Yeah,
some
not
of
all of
the,
them do.
and some of the ag courses, I mean, there are
Yeah.
getting to be other ways of getting that third science
Yeah.
credit.
Like our district
Zero
doesn't
science.
even, our district doesn't even offer any ag courses.
But nobody created
The schools.
Nobody
Like our
created
kids
your
might
science
be
class as a catch-all. It just so happens that you don't need as much math for this course as you do the other science courses.
But I don't think we should
We have
purposely make it a
to
lower level
but it doesn't have to
But
be.
we're not. I don't think that's because that's,
I think
it
we're
just
trying.
so happens that it doesn't have the math. We shouldn't be implementing more math to make it what we consider a high level. Because that shouldn't be
It
the,
doesn't have to be math.
I mean, what do we want our students to walk away from? What is the value of taking this as a grade? And that should be the approach. What do we want them to know about this? And we need
So
more.
that's what to me, if we're just replicating middle school stuff, then we're not getting the
But
value.
if we at least require the teacher who's teaching the class to reiterate middle school stuff, then at least they know that the students are getting the baseline, because a lot of students don't get it the first time around. And my argument is at least let's keep it there so that we can make sure it's being reinforced so that they can really get it. Because how often do students and our children hear about cells, and how often do they hear about atoms, and they hear about gravity and all of these different things? How often do they hear about igneous rock? Once in 7th or 8th grade. Maybe in elementary. I did. My first science class was freshman biology. True story. I know. My middle school science was a joke. It was a total joke, and my elementary teachers didn't really take. They thought my parents were doctors and they had like microscopes and I was at home. But that was, I didn't even know what igneous rock was when I went to college. So, do we think it's important for the students that maybe didn't have a good foundation to at least get a review of the knowledge? Yes. Should we maybe find a way to build in a little bit so it's not the exact same? I think so. I think so, but I don't want to get rid of it just because it's already taught in
Yeah,
this
I
class.
would say it's gotta be more.
I agree, yeah.
If
I
it's not
agree.
more, then I don't see value if it's not more.
And if we're not qualified to do it,
It
then
is
we need to
more
do
though.
something.
It is more than, if you go back and look, it is more. It's asking them for, a more abstract, information, pulling more abstract information, because the one at middle school level is very concrete. So, and it's huge.
This standard here, this, even South Carolina, that's pretty concrete.
But just because it's an easy concept, doesn't mean it's not appropriate for high school. We don't want to fall into that trap either. If it's more advanced in middle school, it's more advanced in middle
I
school.
gotta tell you, that happened in biology. The idea was, in biology, they kept saying, well, we could teach more chemistry and biology, and that would be harder to understand. really don't have to know anything about the animal kingdom, and you can grab your knowledge just fine.
So they throw the human stuff into another course, because it's not
Which is helpful.
straightforward and
Yeah.
So they didn't have any physiology.
So that's the danger
That's the danger,
of
right?
missing